How you doing, everyone? My name is Ryan. This is Ade, and welcome to another edition of Box Talk. Today, refs and judges. What's the hell going on? You can't get a decision right. You're making bad calls. Come on now. This needs to be fixed. You're killing our sport. Don't make us find you. Ade, what do you think?
We're not going to find you. Don't sue us for that. We're getting some shocking decisions at the moment, and it's so wrong. It's not fair for the fighters. It's not fair for the fans that go and watch the fight. It's not fair for us, the consumers that pay our big money. Once we're watching the pay-per-view fights, we're just not getting the decisions. And when there's stinky decisions,
it hurts the sport. It's killing the sport. The press is slating us every week because of these people that are possibly helping us and doing the right thing.
How can it not be corrupt? If people are going to start saying it, how can it not be corrupt? I mean, I watched the Burns fight. I'm a big Ricky Burns fan. That fight was never a draw. It was so not a draw, it was scary, but he got a draw decision, and it just questions why people don't want to go to other people's backyards and take fights nowadays.
I tell you what, there's no other sport in the world that has as many controversial dodgy decisions in any other sport in the world. I mean, before we had, in Germany, you couldn't win a fight in Germany. Yeah. That was through the 80s and 90s. Now you can't win a fight nowhere.
No, you're right. There's this thing, and it's wrong. To me, when anyone's going in the ring to fight anyone, to me you're on neutral ground. But there's something that says a world champion is going to, the challenger is already 4 or 5 points below and has to knock out the world champion to win it. There's a term that they always use that you've got to rip it from the... Why have you got to rip it?
All you got to do is score 12 rounds of fighting. Not rip it. If you win 7 of the 12, you won the fight. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, we've had decisions that you just kind of question. I mean, I remember years ago, Felix Sturm, Oscar De La Hoya, when Felix Sturm was pretty much a no-one, came over to fight Oscar De La Hoya and got robbed.
He gave Oscar De La Hoya a beating.
Simple.
You know, that fight, you know why it went along, because that fight was part of a 2-fight special contract which HBO set up for the past year of Hopkins versus De La Hoya.
Yeah.
And that fight was not going to be cancelled under any circumstances. If Sturm knocked out De La Hoya, and he was outside the ring, they would have picked him back up and still gave him the decision.
Honestly. But it's weird, it's almost like it's helped Sturm, because then Sturm gets some weird decisions in Germany as well.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, Murray to me beat Sturm. The Macklin one, it was close. I'm not going to go crazy on the Macklin Sturm fight, but Murray, I thought, beat Sturm. Yeah. Sturm got the decision in Germany.
So, tell you what I hate about these, especially when you've got the hometown fight on these hometown decisions. The commentating team is just telling you lies. Like on the Ricky Burns fight, they said he might have stole that one. He might have, he could have, he maybe, no, he did or he didn't. You won or you lost. Saying to the fans he maybe, he might have, he could have, that's telling you you're manipulating the fans.
Yeah, you are. You're almost making the fan believe that, wait, maybe he did. Maybe I missed it. You know, Ricky Burns probably lands a jab and the crowd go crazy and he gets a 10-9 in that round. I just feel like it's now not to any area. Like Ryan said, in the 80s and 90s, you could not win in Germany. Now it literally seems to be anywhere and any person can lose. I mean, Pacquiao was arguably behind Mayweather the biggest earner and the biggest person in the sport in the last 10 years. He got a decision lost against Timothy Bradley that I still watch to this day, and I do not know how he did not win nearly every single round of that fight. It's crazy. It's crazy. What do you think, Ryan?
You know, they say that when you're scoring around, you got to have ring generalship, yeah? That it basically means controlling the ring and being actually in the ring. But if you're in controlling the ring but taking a pounding, it doesn't mean you win the fight. Yeah. I think, you know, let's look at it from judging in a honestly, yeah. And this is not to criticize any judges out there. For that, I won't mention names. But I'm in my mid-30s, yeah. And when I watch boxing right now, I see judges' names I saw in the 80s.
Yeah.
So let's say if you're a young person in the 80s that is in their mid-30s, today's 2013, you're now 70 plus years old. Yeah, the average person in the job retires at 60, 65. But you've got judges who are 70, 75, 80, 85 years old. Can you really score a fight from 20 feet away?
Yeah, no, and I think the worst thing for these judges that you say from the 80s and 90s, there's, you know, they've been around the same promoters around that time. They've been around the same men. You're gonna have, I don't care what they say, you're gonna have a favoritism for the guys that you've been around with for that long. There's no way. People that it always go look at the fights that Top Rank do. Don't tell me you don't see the same judges for nearly every single Top Rank fight. There's no way on earth that Bob Arum doesn't have these guys in their pocket.
There was a time when there was a time when it was all the De La Hoya fights had the same. When you talk, had one of the same judges and one of the same referees. I think it was Mills Lane back then. I can't remember. But it was like you knew already because they said, "Oh, Mills Lane will let you do this and let you do that." So you're getting a referee that is going to cater to your fighter style, and because you're the marquee name. the secondary fighter had no say in it or no call in it.
No, you hear it a lot with referees. You always say it. And commentators say it without probably realising. They say, okay, this referee lets it hold, this referee will let you work inside. No, this referee, and then you got other referees, this referee's not going to let you hold, this referee's going to split. Why are not referees all the same? Why have you got a referee that allows you to hold
Exactly.
it?
A referee, there's a rule book on how to ref a fight. And a referee has to go through a training process through amateur fights, and they build up and build up and build up, and they get to a certain level. If you don't do good, they bring you back down till you get back up. So refs, it's your own opinion, it's your own judgment, but it should be a basic criteria. And like Adi said, refs are known for certain things, and that's an indication of the fault in the sport.
But why is it still being allowed? Why are these dodgy decisions that are so? Why can't the decision be overturned? I always wonder when you're watching a boxing event. You've done it. I've done it. I've watched a boxing fight, and then I'm all involved in the emotion. Then I sit down a day later, and I really watch the fight, and I study it, and I score it myself. And you watch a boxing fight with the sound on, with all your friends screaming around, and 20,000 people watching it as well. Then you go home, turn the music down, don't listen to the commentating, and watch it and score it yourself. You score it completely different.
Fight. That's 100% good truth. I remember back in the day, me and my guys, we were a fiend for scoring fights as the fights happen. And you end up bargaining with each other like the judges will do. That was a close fight. I think he took it. And your friend will go, nah, he took it. You go, why do you think he took it? And you kind of convince each other of who won the round. And that's what's happening in the fights. The judges are sitting ringside. They can hear the press. They can hear the crowd. You can hear people saying things in the background. And it's influencing the decision.
And the worst thing for me, a Burns-Beltran fight. This is nothing against Ricky Burns. I think Ricky Burns is a great fighter. Everything about him, top man. But Burns-Beltran fight, Beltran's known as a sparring partner for Manny Pacquiao pretty much. So he's not getting great money. He won the world title yesterday, and that could set him up for more world title fights in America, Mexico, and then he starts to earn good money, sponsorship comes in. He's lost out. So we always talk about us losing out in terms of the consumer. What about the other fighters? He's trained, he's gone away from his home in America to go to Scotland and fight. He's won the fight. He's broke Ricky Burns' jaw in the second round. He's put him down, and he gets a draw out.
I'll tell you what, if there's not a rematch going that contract, Beltran ain't going to get one. Guarantee that. Unless the sanctioning bodies mandatory, sanctioning bodies demand an immediate rematch, I don't think it's going to happen for him.
It's a shame.
Let's look from a different perspective. Let's look at the judges themselves, yeah? I remember when Lennox Lewis fought Evander Holyfield the first fight, and one of the judges, I can't remember if it was Ian Lewis or Ian someone, scored the fight for Holyfield. And the British press destroyed him.
Absolutely.
Destroyed him, saying, how can he score the fight, how can he score the fight, how can he score the fight? And don't you think the judges might be scared themselves, where they think, guess what? They're trying to do things, or they're trying to be subjective, but they know if they're subjective and they're wrong, or their opinion is not followed, they're going to lose jobs or lose their standing. Because I thought Holyfield Lewis was a close fight. Yeah. I know if it was a one-sided beatdown, what everyone else had, but I thought it was a close fight.
You know what it is? Let's be honest, fights aren't hard. They're not easy to score. Me and Ryan have watched fights and we've had opinions on different fights, and we still do. Calzaghe Hopkins, we've had Hopkins versus Jermaine Taylor. We've had our own different opinions. But when you get one fight, when you get three judges and then one judge scores the fight, 118, 110, the other judge scores the fight 120, 111 in the other person's favour, it's almost like they're watching two different fights. How is that possible?
I have a theory on that. Where you got three judges, and it's a close fight, or the rounds are subjective, but you want to vote for the hometown fighter to give him the benefit of the doubt, thinking the other two judges are going to give it to the other fighter. So when it comes to the decision, the hometown judge will feel like he's done his guy a favour by giving him the decision, hoping that the other guy has done the right thing. But what you're doing there is you're not relying on fact. You're relying on corruption. Yeah, and it doesn't mean money to be corrupt. If you're corrupt, if you're doing things to save your jobs for the future, you're not doing your job.
Yeah, and even referees. There's some referees cleverly fight, for example. Yeah. Cleverly against Kovalev a few weeks ago. When the fight should have been stopped in, I think the round before it got stopped. And he almost waved off.
And he said, okay, the bell stopped. No, go back and fight.
You just feel like, how do you stop this?
Look at Malik Scott and Chisora. Again, another fight in the UK. Malik Scott got up at 9, and they called it and said, no, it's over, even though he was clearly available to fight.
Yeah, it was. It's awful to think. I don't know if it can be stopped. I don't know if for an English fight you've got to have maybe American judges and American referees, so someone that's impartial. And the same thing in America. Maybe you've got to take English judges over there and have an English referee, someone that doesn't know, isn't familiar with the two fighters.
You you're right. You need to get some sort of consistency, but that doesn't work all the time. Look when Vitaly Klitschko fought Shannon Briggs over. I think I was over in Germany somewhere. And we had
Ian the crazy I want to kill fighter John Lewis.
Yeah, John Lewis.
Jesus Christ.
Shannon Briggs took a beating, which was so. I remember. I think we were watching it at my mate's house. And I think by the 8th round, we said this fight should be stopped. It should be stopped. This guy was taking a tremendous beating, and it made no sense. I think the injury report after was a torn bicep, fractured jaw,
fractured everything.
I mean, Shannon Briggs was in bits. He was in the hospital for like 3 weeks, and they let this go on.
Yeah, and that was an English referee.
Yeah, so even with neutral judges for different country fighters, it doesn't really help.
I think one thing we should be aware of as well is that we've come on here and we've slated a lot of the decision. It doesn't happen as much as it used to happen. I think it's slightly getting a little bit better in terms of decisions now. I think the reason it's getting better is because marquee fighters are now starting to fight marquee fighters. So it's almost like it's a risk giving it to anyone now. But you still get those home decisions. And it's a fact of boxing. Unfortunately, when you go away from home, you probably have got to work a bit more. You probably got to put the guy to sleep as well to get the decision. But I guess that's just the way it works. I mean, the fact it works in every single country suggests that no countries, you haven't got a favouritism from every country. Every country seems to happen in. If you're coming to England and fight, you've got to put the English guy down. If an English guy's going to America, he's got to really work hard to put the American guy down. It just happens all over. But what's been the worst decision you've ever seen?
Oh, worst decision I've seen in the British ring of my time. I saw Bobby Vanzi versus Graham Earl.
Okay.
Disgusting decision. I don't want to go into it. But yeah, that was the worst decision I've seen. Internationally, there's so many. There's so many. I know, but just stick with the current. I think Bradley Pacquiao was disgusting. I mean, there's no way I could word it. Disgusting decision. Wow.
It's funny the Bradley Pacquiao one because obviously I think Pacquiao stole one from Marquez as well.
Yeah,
was it the fight before?
They're kind of tit for tat now.
Yeah, it's almost tit for tat. So maybe there is. Maybe it's just that. Maybe it is tit for tat. Maybe you win a decision, you get a decision somewhere down the line in future years. I mean, a lot of boxers have had decisions go against them, and they've had decisions go for them as well. But my biggest one I've ever seen, it's got to be the Oscar De La Hoya Stern. And the reason it's the biggest one for me is I didn't really know Stern too well. I think Stern was a world champion at the time, but it wasn't a third name that was so familiar to myself at the time. And Oscar De La Hoya was this guy that I loved. I thought, oh my god, I can't wait for this Hopkins fight. I was watching it, and honestly, if I was come from another planet, I honestly would have thought Stern was De La Hoya. And De La Hoya was, because the beating, Stern was putting De La Hoya. Yeah. And all that I heard about De La Hoya in terms of him being this amazing, honestly, I thought roles were reversed and one was the other. But it almost seemed Stern seemed so happy to share the ring that night. Even when the decision was called out, he didn't moan, he didn't scream, he didn't shout. You know why? It's a little payment. It was definitely getting a little extra $50,000 in the payment.
I just want to say one thing before we go. You always hear judges in comedy say like, oh, this guy's a tough guy, the ref knows he could take it and blah, blah, blah. If someone's taking a beat in the ring and he's getting hurt, the ref should be there for the foul, not because he's a tough guy. Yeah. So, in general, when you're looking at the referees, like I said, that consistency rule, what we were talking about before, it needs to go through because you're saying, well, this guy can take a beating because he's tough. This guy who's not so tough, or we don't know if he's tough, will stop the fight.
That's a very, very good point. In fact, let's talk about that point for a couple more minutes before we end this subject. Because you're right, I think we do get it. I think Enzo Maccarinelli is a good example. Yeah. Enzo Maccarinelli, for those that don't know, obviously is probably the owner of some of the vicious knockouts in boxing history.
The victim.
The victim. Sorry, the victim. He's not dishing out, he's getting dished out. But there was one fight recently of Over McKenzie. I think he got hit with one punch, referee dropped him straight away to end the fight. He wasn't hurt, but because they're so used to him going down and they're so used to seeing him take a beating, they stopped the fight early, just on the basis of what has happened in previous fights. Yeah. So Ryan's right. Our referees going on the fighters, or they're going on,
but what's actually, they're going on reputation, not what's actually the action in the ring.
Yeah, and that's a bad thing. So the whole shit needs clearing up.
Just because you could take a lot of punishment, don't mean you deserve to take the punishment.
That's the thing, and I think Shannon Briggs suffered from that against Vitaly. Shannon Briggs, an experienced heavyweight, hasn't been down many times. When he does, he seems to get back up again as well. You watch the Lennox Lewis fight if you don't believe me.
Yeah. 5 rounds.
Yeah, exactly. 5 rounds, but he kept him getting down and getting back up, and going down and getting back up. And I think he suffered from the fact that Vitaly was putting a beating on him, and that fight that should have been stopped in 6th, 7th, maybe 8th round, went on and on to the 12th round. And I think everyone knows Vitaly's KO percentage. If he's hitting you, it's hurting.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
But guys, what do you think? I mean, referees and judges, are they affecting the sport? I mean, are we just exaggerating? Is it just a case of you get one decision here, you're going to probably get another decision later? Ryan?
They need to change it and fix it. I ain't gonna give no answers or excuses. You're spoiling the sport. Stop it. We love it. We want to see the good fights.
Okay, guys, leave your comments below or hit us on the email address at
BoxTalk@hotmail.uk.
Guys, thanks a lot. What is the email address?
Hotmail.co.uk.
Guys, thanks for another edition of Box Talk. Take care.